Hi everyone, it's Armor King here, and I just wanted to talk a little bit today about Armor King's forward 2. This move comes out in 16 frames, is minus 11 on block. However, if you notice something about this move, it has some decent pushback, even on block. It's like it's a pseudo demon paw, except it's not nearly as good against certain characters. It can certainly be good against characters like Armor King. So, like, let me give you an example here. Armor King does forward 2. He could either be out of wave dash or normally. Look at that. I can only punish him with 1. But 2-1 doesn't reach. If any Armor King player knows that this is minus 11, they'll try to go for 2-1. Or they could also go for 1. If Armor King knows the matchup enough, 1 will be their opted punish. So this move right here being minus 11 and you being able to wave dash out of it, it gives you enough room for 3 options. You could do forward 2, you could do dark upper, or you could also do forward neutral 2. What's interesting about these moves is that all 3 of these moves seem to high crush. Now, let me see if I can give you an example here. It just crushed my jab. I came out with a 1, and it crushed my jab. I came out with a 2, it crushed it. So any player that knows their spacing properly can use this move to their advantage. So you have 3 moves that high crush, which is dark upper, which is a launcher, forward neutral 2, which is plus 7 on hit, and forward 2, which is a knockdown. And forward 2 can be very useful because then you could either set up another forward 2, forward neutral 2, or dark upper. You could also set up anything. Honestly, you could even set up a CD1 and go for some block pressure with plus 6. It pushes them away unless you're at the wall. Interestingly enough is that I found this move to be very, very useful in my recent online because it creates a little bit of fake pressure. And it's because the pushback, the simulated pushback here, makes the opponent believe that they're not able to punish despite that it's minus 11. So take that with a grain of salt, but there are some characters that cannot reach this move normally. However, there are characters that can normally reach it when it's just blocked at range 0. But at range 1, I can't reach it with 1 anymore. This can reach pretty far. This move can reach very far. And that's one of the big advantages that this move has. As well as the reach with forward neutral 2, I believe. Yeah, forward neutral 2 also has very, very good reach. So be wary when you're using this. It's more like a pseudo defensive tool that keeps your opponent on their toes. And it pushes them back just a bit. So if you want to challenge their punishment, you're going to want to use forward 2. And it also sets up wave dash pressure. As well as forward 4. And you might want to coalesce forward 4 and forward neutral 2, forward 2, and dark upper. You might want to use those a lot. You can also use forward 3, which is a high. And to cover that, you have forward 4, forward 2. So any move that's a high, like this move, is going to be covered by crouch dash 4, forward 2, forward 4. And also forward neutral 2 if you want to be fancy. But forward neutral 2, you gotta remember this. Forward neutral 2 is launch punishable. So please, guys, it's at least minus 16, minus 17. I'll put up the actual frame data in the video. But it's still important for you guys to know that this exists because this is prime wave dash setup. It's just really good to know in your tool set with this character because, like I said, it can build up either fake pressure or you can catch your opponent in a wake up. It will push them back far enough to where if they're going to do a move. So yeah, but you also might want to be a little bit aware of moves that are, you know, usually minus 12 that can counter hit you. You just got to be ready to pop yourself off. But more or less, it's a risk doing it, so if you want to be more safe, then you can opt for Ford 4 as well, which is also your wall bounce. But it's, like I said, it can also be very unsafe for Armor King because it's minus 14 on block. Despite that it has good pushback, it's very much like Marduk's back 3+4. Anyone that knows the punish is going to try to attempt to punish it. However, if people do know better that their character can't reach them, like per example, on Akuma, Ford 4 is completely safe. And by completely safe, he can't punish it. The opponent will know that you're minus 14 on block, but they cannot do anything about his pushback. The only thing that they have to actually do is sidewalk or sidestep that move. Which, to your not so really big surprise, both Ford 2 and Ford 4 are sidesteppable. But that's why we have the good old handy dandy wave dash. This is why this exists. Our opponent is going to be able to A, be tracked by the wave dash, B, try to sidewalk us and we'll cover them with tracking moves like down forward 1+2, forward 3. We'll be able to take advantage of that. So, in conclusion, you guys just got to make sure you know the character that you're fighting is going to be very, very weak against Ford 2. If the character you know that you're fighting is weak against Ford 2, I'll give you guys examples of these characters. Bears, no matter what you do, will always be able to punish you against Ford 2, so it's like the move doesn't really exist. Also, Jack can pretty consistently punish you with forward 2, but at range 2, I believe, or range 1? Around that range. Some people doubt that this move is really that good, and I can see why. It only gives you a knockdown, and it only gives you a knockdown. Maybe if it gave you this stun on counter hit, maybe people would use it more often. But I mean, it's still a good move. It allows you to apply a wave dash mix up. Yeah. You can really mess your opponent up, especially Mishima players. Be sure to be ready to punish your opponent accordingly and take full advantage of their lack of knowledge. Armor King is a monster, and you guys know that already about him. Now, further information about Heihachi or any Mishima. Even Kazuya can be weakened by this just a little bit when it comes to a certain range. But all characters can't punish this at range 1, I believe. Yep. And at range 1, you'll be able to punish them with a Dark Upper, interrupt them,